Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Monday the 8th of February 2021. And today we're looking at a follow-up really to our weekend videos where we see oil prices rising to above $60 and proposed stimulus packages causing equity markets to reach new highs globally. So let's take a look. Over the weekend, we pointed out in our Gold and Silver Weekly Update, published on Saturday, that it's the intention of OPEC to push oil prices above $60 a barrel. And this is exactly what happened this morning, at least with Brent crude. Now, in our video yesterday, Yellen and Lagarde will spend whatever it takes, MMT, modern monetary theory, effect on US dollar. We pointed out that not just the US, but the whole Western world seems to be moving in close step towards further economic stimulus and loosening of monetary policy, and some would argue towards an MMT methodology. And we've placed links to both of these videos below. Now, Yellen's reported comments yesterday have had an impact on markets already this morning. So let's take a look. Bloomberg article dated February the 8th, 2021. At 8:22 a.m. GMT. Headline: Global stocks hit record as Brent oil tops $60. Global stocks rose to a record on reflation bets after Janet Yellen pushed for rapid US stimulus and coronavirus infections slowed across the globe. Brent oil advanced above $60 a barrel for the first time in more than a year. US equity futures received a boost from comments by Treasury Secretary Yellen on Sunday talk shows that the US can return to full employment in 2022 if it enacts a robust enough relief package. The 30-year-old Treasury yield rose to the highest in a year, while the pace of US inflation implied by the bond market accelerated to the fastest since 2014. The Stoxx Europe 600 index kicked off the week in the green, with Italian equities outperforming as Mario Draghi sets about to form a new national government. Dialog Semiconductor plc shares jumped after the company agreed to be acquired by Renesas Electronics Corp. In Japan, the TOPIX index ended Monday at the highest since 1991, amid reports the government may lift its state of emergency early for some areas. Investors are taking comfort from the continued rollout of vaccines and data suggesting a declining trend in infections in countries like the United States. A Citigroup Inc. gauge of global risk aversion dropped to its lowest level since the pandemic first roiled markets last year. Weaker than forecast US jobs data Friday reinforced economic risks as the pandemic lingers, but also highlighted the case for further stimulus. Risk sentiment brightened as anticipation of the US stimulus package is growing, said Masahiro Ikikawa, chief market strategist at Sumitomo Mitsui DS Asset Management Co. Although the scale of the US package is likely to be reduced, the amount will still be substantial to bolster the US economy. President Joe Biden is pushing for a mammoth $1.9 trillion economic relief measure. Some commentators, such as former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, have raised questions about the size of the package and risks such as much faster inflation. Out of interest, because some of these are not included in what we produced on our weekly update, some key events coming up. Earnings seasons continues at companies like Honda Motor, Cisco Systems, Societe Generale and L'Oreal. EIA crude oil inventory report comes out on Wednesday. Sweden will set monetary policy on Wednesday. Federal Reserve Chair Powell will speak on a webinar on Wednesday. The US Consumer Price Index, we have mentioned that, comes out on Wednesday. Lunar New Year public holiday begins in nations across Asia, with China breaking for a week. And the Bank of Russia's policy decision comes on Friday. And so far this morning, and admittedly by the time you get this video, this will have changed. We can see futures on the S&P 500 has increased 0.3%. The Stocks Europe 600 is up 0.4%. The MSCI Asia Pacific Index is up 0.8%. And the MSCI Emerging Markets Index is up 0.3%. Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index little changed. Euro little changed. Pound little changed. Yuan strengthened 0.1% and the Japanese yen weakened. And of particular note, the yield on 10-year treasuries gained 3 basis points to 1.19%. The 2-year treasuries climbed less than 1 basis point to 0.11%. Germany's 10-year yield gained 3 basis points to minus 0.42%. Britain's 10-year yield jumped 5 basis points to 0.53%, and Japan's 10-year yield gained 1 basis point to 0.071%. Out of interest, West Texas Intermediate crude gained 1.3%, 57.57. Brent crude gained 1.3% to $60.12, something we mentioned in our videos over the weekend. That's where the various OPEC countries were targeting $60, with some commentators mentioning now $70 as a potential reach. We still hold firm that the sweet spot ideally for the world and also profitability is between 50 and 60, though we all know that oil can be extracted at much lower levels than that. And gold strengthened 0.1% to $1,815.54 an ounce. End of article. On the back of this news and reporting, equity markets have risen between 1 and 2% in Asia Pacific overnight and around 1% in the UK and Europe this morning, as we're reaching midday. There is an expectation that US markets will also open with a similar rise. Now, ironically, the US dollar has strengthened to some extent on the back of an envisaged faster return of economic growth than originally anticipated. And we shall have a number of financial and economic indicators over the next couple of weeks to see if that actually happens. Gold and silver prices are marginally up in spite of a rising dollar, with the dollar index currently standing at 91.19. Bitcoin too is up $400 at $39,457, and we envisage a return to 40,000, possibly later this week or into next week, if not sooner, of course. The mainstream media are now asking the question whether the US has now turned the corner on the COVID pandemic or not, with deaths arguably having peaked in January with an average of 3,000 a day. Now, the BBC reported this morning, quote, "There are, however, still more than 120,000 new infections every day on average, and it's unclear whether the recent decline will continue, especially now the US has cases of the more highly transmissible variants of virus first discovered in the UK, South Africa and Brazil." With the vaccine rollout picking up pace, many Americans will be hoping life can return to some form of normality over the next few months, but experts say there is still a long path ahead. It will be many more months before we see not necessarily a return to normalcy, but the emergence of a new normal, according to Dr. Kerry Althoff, a professor of epidemiology at Johns Hopkins University. I'm hesitant to put a date on it because every time we figure something out with this virus, it seems to have another trick up its sleeve, she added, pointing to the new variants that have emerged in recent months. Dr. Althoff says that new normal will see public health officials continuing to recommend social distancing and face masks while warning against any large social gatherings inside or out. Many people in the US are feeling exhausted by this virus. It's totally normal and we need to be empathetic towards that. But this virus is not going to just go away, she said. So we have to continue to protect ourselves and our families and our communities. End of article. Well, we suspect, frankly, that the markets will tell us first their view before we actually find out the reality, which is why, quite frankly, we're watching them so closely. What are your thoughts? Do you think we're now ready for a surge in equity prices once again? Are the number of COVID-19 infections, albeit certainly as far as deaths are concerned, are falling? Do you think the infections too will fall as the vaccine rollout increases? And what effect do you think this will have on global growth, together with the extra stimulus packages being recommended by the Biden administration? Do share your thoughts. Meanwhile, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel, not forgetting to press the bell sign so you're notified of our videos as and when they are published. We hope you have found this video interesting and informative, and if so, please give it a thumbs up and share it on social media. Please ensure that you have subscribed to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of any future videos. Also, kindly visit our website at illuminatisilver.com, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe either as a free or paying member for regular email updates and offers. Disclaimer: Illuminati Silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.